What is up YouTube, and we are back with another video. So today we will be looking into flexible widget, expanded and sized box along with spacer. So already if you are following this video series, you already have seen rows and column. So we use main axis alignment and we use cross axis alignment in that. So but if you want, what do you want? What if you want to place these widgets differently in a row or a column? So let's say if I have all these three widgets right now, container 1, 2 and 3, and this represents the empty space in the row. So let's say if I want this third container and the second container to take the available space, so I can wrap it using flexible or expanded. To understand that, we need to understand the first two properties of that flexible widget. So the first one is flex. So what is a flex? Flex is like a priority system. It's not actually a priority system, but it takes an integer and it says, okay, this much of the available space will be given to this particular widget. In the case of third container, I say I'll give a flex value of 4, and for the second container I say I'll give it 2. So what happens is, it is higher number is 4 obviously, so the third container will have 4 times the available space remaining, and the second container will have 2 times of that. So it's kind of a ratio. So that is how a flexible widget works. Along with the flex property, it has a fit property which is called flex fit. So flex fit is nothing, by default it is loose, so it means it will be tightly packed and the available space will be left out. But if I use flex fit of tight, so the third container will take all the available space and the second and the first will remain in the position. But if I give flex fit dot tight to second and third as well, you can see the difference, it will take the equal space. So let's start with the implementation. I already created an application for you guys. So we have these three containers, red, yellow, blue, and the gray space is the empty space in the row. So I have this method which returns a row and it has three containers. So let's give the blue container a flexible widget. Let's wrap it with the flexible widget, and also let's wrap the second widget container with a flexible widget again. Now what I can do is I can give a fit property and I'll say fit flex fit dot tight. Also I can say that for this flexible widget, and let's see what happens. So what they did is they took all the available remaining space and they divided it equally. But what if I don't want it to be divided equally? For that I can use the flex and I can say I can give this flex a 4 value. So 4 value is that it will take 4 times of that space. And if I say for this container that you take only 3 or 2, let's save it and see the difference. So what happened, it took 4 times of that space and it took two times of that space. So you have to understand that flexible widgets, what they do is they resize the widget in a row or column. Now we will be looking into expanded, and expanded widget they will do the same thing, but the only difference between flexible and expanded widget is that they flexible resize the widget and expanded just change the constraints of the child widget. So we will see expanded in action now. So let's go back to the application and let's remove flexible from here, also from here. Okay, let's remove it again, or let's not remove it, let's say expand it. And expand it only takes the flex property, so we can or we cannot give it. Let's uncomment it right now let's comment it right now and let's see the difference. What will happen, this blue will take all the available space despite of the width of its container, right? Let's save it and let's see the difference. So what it does is it took all the available space, that blue container. What if I want this yellow container to do the same? So again I'll wrap it with the expanded widget and let's save it, and they will be equally divided. So I guess this makes sense to you guys. Even if I give the flex value, so it will change it accordingly. So now what we can do is we can give some spacing between them by using, if you want to give some spacing between these widgets, you can use a sized box. So sized box is simply another widget in Flutter, and it is not exactly a kind of container but with a very less property. You can say it's a container but with very less properties. Like if you want to give the space between red and yellow, I can use sized box and I can say the width would be 20 pixels and let's save it. So you can see there is the gray color which determines the rows color, so there is some space between these two containers. Also it has height property and it has height and let's see child. So these three properties the size box have. So if you want, if you doesn't give anything here, let's see what will happen if I don't determine the height or the width. So let's see. So nothing happens, okay, but it doesn't give the error also. So the sized box is used when you want to give some spacing between them using pixels. So, and you have to understand this point, if you want to use pixels to make this Flutter know that I want to give only 20 pixels of difference between both the widgets or the space between both the widgets, then you use sized box. It just creates an empty container or empty space between those particular widgets. You can also give it a child property if you want, it will work normally. Now what we can use is we can use another widget, and it's kind of sized box, but let's see, it is called spacer. And if I say spacer here between yellow and blue, let's see what will happen. So you see it already gave the default space, so that is a difference between sized box and spacer. That spacer gives the default spacing between the widgets, and it doesn't use pixels, it use flex property again. So if I want to give flex 2, it will change its size accordingly. So let's see. So I hope this is making sense to you guys. So again, let's review the points. The first one is the flexible widget, it resizes the widgets in the row or column, and the expanded, it just changes the constraints of the child. And if I talk about sized box, you will give that sized whenever you want to give the difference between container or any widgets using the pixels. And if you use spacer, then you have to use the flex property. So these are the four major widgets. Also we can see a real-time use case right now. I'll just wait a minute. Now I'll change it, and I have already created a column and which we can use to see these containers in a column. So let's give the child build column and let's save it. Now this is the available space. Now we don't need flex or expanded right now, but what will be the use case, you ask? So if I copy paste these containers 3 times or 2 times maybe and save it, we will, okay, one more time, and what will happen is it will give a flex error. Here it will say bottom overflowed error, something like that. Okay, let's see, let's save it. It didn't save itself. Let's see. Okay, so this is a common error which occurs in Flutter, and this is also known as bottom overflow or something. Let's read through the error. A render flex overflowed by 117 pixels on the bottom. So I already tackled this before in the previous videos, but again I'll show you. So here you can use expanded. Let's say I want to give this widget expanded, the last container, and let's see the difference. It doesn't make any difference. Or let's see, I wrap this one also with expanded, and let's see what happens now. Nothing happens. Okay, now if I wrap this one, that should definitely change it, right? Let's see. So what happened when I gave the expanded to the first container, the last one, it gave all the available space, but the all available space is this much. But these containers, red and yellow, were bigger than this one. Then I gave expanded widget to yellow one. So again it took very less available space, and blue took very little available space, but the red again was about 60 pixels height. So when I wrap that container with expanded, what happened? These all three were divided in particular order, and they were given all the three widgets were given same height and width. That is why it has removed that particular error. So I hope you guys understand the use case when you have to use expanded, flexible, sized box and spacer. And if you like the video, please like, share and comment, and I'll see you in the next video.